Hi, and welcome back to Handling O-Scale Track. This is part 3 in their series of videos. Over the next few videos, what you're going to see is how to build or how to handle a O-Scale turnout. Specifically, it's going to be a number 8 turnout. What I've got laid out before us here are some of the components I'm going to be utilizing in building that turnout. Some of these are necessary in order to build it, and the other ones are just here in order to detail it or to super detail the turnout. What we've got here are our guardrails, our points, and our number 8 bolted frog. These are all cast nickel silver components. We also have our standard size tie plates, as well as our longer flat tie plates. These are utilized when we need to span a greater distance, such as underneath our frog or underneath our guardrails and so forth, where a standard tie plate just wouldn't be long enough and wouldn't work and be appropriate in that situation. We've also got our 2-piece throw bar assemblies. I'm going to show you how I assemble these and how I insulate them electrically. We also have our standard joint bars. If you remember, these are what we glue or spikel on to the side of the rails. We also have our insulated joint bars. Again, just to cover that very quickly, what makes these different is if you notice on the back side of these here, we've got this spine, if you will, or raised ridge area. And when you cut these free, you'll still have this little bit of a ridge area behind the joint bar itself. What that's going to do is actually provide a physical barrier between, like, let's say, a rail and our frog. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important that we electrically isolate the frog. This will enable us to have a DC or DCC friendly turnout, as well as prevent shorts. It is very important, at least in my opinion, that you have a physical barrier in there between the rail and the frog. You might be tempted to just try to space the rail away from the frog, but what's going to happen is over time, and especially with seasonal changes in temperature and humidity, that rail's going to expand and contract, okay? And if it expands, okay, the odds are that gap is going to close up and you're going to have a short, okay? So again, it's very important that we maintain that physical barrier in there, that physical separation, and that'll ensure that we don't end up having any problems or shorts down the road with expansion and contraction and so forth. These are also our gauge plates. I'll show you where they go, what they're used for, and why, as well as how I insulate these and assemble these and so forth. I'm going to be breaking this video down into some different segments, basically because I want to just take the time to show you some different things, to organize it a little bit better, and God knows, probably because I also talk a little too much. I'm trying to keep these videos from being too terribly long. But again, these are some of the components that I'm going to be using. I want to take a moment here to stop right now and just say that in regards to these detail components, do not feel as though you have to use these, fellas, okay? You don't. This is not necessary. You don't have to incorporate all this, okay? So please don't watch these videos and feel you have to go out and have to have all these detail parts, or somehow you're building to a lesser level or something, because that's just not true. That's a load of baloney, and anybody that tells you that or makes you feel that way, I would suggest you just walk away, because they're not doing the hobby right, and they're not informing you correctly. So with that said, I'm going to move on and show you a few other things. Okay, what I've laid out before you here now is just to show you some of the different ties we're going to be utilizing in building our turnout. This is a standard tie, okay, which in real world measurements would be 7 inches by 9 inches by about 8 feet 6 inches in width. And also what we refer to as a switch tie, okay? These are, again, 7 by 9 by 16 feet in length. The bulk of the ties we're going to be utilizing when we assemble our turnout are going to be these switch ties that later on we will come back and have to trim down in order to get the correct appearance and so forth. Later on, you can just see it here a little bit in the video. The area that we're going to be working on is going to be right in here. This is going to be the beginning of the turnout. Our points are going to end up being, about right in this area where I got my pencil at, just so you can kind of get a visual. This will be the area. But again, these ties that I use, I get from Kapler. I'm very happy with the product. They give you a large quantity of ties. I believe it's 750 ties for around $22, okay, whether it's the standard. And I forget what it is with the switch. I think maybe 24. Not positive, though. But again, these are sugar pine ties. They accept the stain and everything very well. It's the same ties I used earlier in my videos when I was showing you how I color my ties. Very nice, stable lumber. I would highly recommend it. Of course, unless you guys want to go ahead and cut your own, you can do that too. It's just whatever's going to end up being more cost effective for you and what your schedule is going to allow you to do. Okay, right in front of us now, these are some of the tools I'm going to be utilizing in building the turnout. Of course, we got our spiking pliers, our NMRA track gauge, good set of wire strippers, soldering iron, of course a whole bunch of spikes, as well as our Dremel tool. I'll be utilizing this and some files when I need to massage some parts to get them to fit properly, cut the rail and so forth. So you'll see that getting a lot of use as well. Okay, so in conclusion, for this portion of this video, you saw the parts I'm going to be utilizing, the tools I'm going to be utilizing. In the future segments of this video, what you're going to see is the actual assembly of a turnout. I'm going to go over the process, where I begin, how I do things, why I do things. I'm also going to cover what makes a DC-DCC friendly turnout, as well as some of the terminology. Maybe you've heard, a point rail, stock rail, guard rail, a wing rail. What are those things? Well, in the later segments of this video, I'm going to cover that. I'm going to show you what those are. I'm going to point all that out to you. And I think you'll find the process, while it's a bit time consuming, it'll actually go a lot quicker than you think. And it'll actually be a very fun and rewarding experience. So with that, stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy the future segments of these videos.